Hi, I'm Mike Pollock, and you're watching Monocle-wearing Rebuttals.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Monocle-wearing Rebuttals. It's been a while, but the series, if you want to call it that, is back due to popular demand for 2011. I put the whole thing on hold a while back, but recently I was flooded with requests to do another one on a recent TV doc by Panorama. If you are fortunate enough to have somehow never heard of Panorama, it's an investigative current affairs documentary show on every Monday in Britainland. To its credit, it's actually a fairly ballsy programme that historically has never shied away from controversy. In the past they've made headlines for tackling such subjects as the Catholic Church, FIFA, and who can forget, Scientology.
For a second, you're accusing members of my religion of engaging in brainwashing.
No, Tommy, you stop now!
Brainwashing is
No, listen
crime.
to me! You
Brainwashing
were not
is a
there
crime.
at the beginning
It's
of
a
that
crime.
interview!
Brainwashing
You
is
were
a
not
crime.
there!
Taking a break from causing uproar, the Panorama crew recently aimed their metaphorical sniper rifles of sensationalism at a less sensitive topic: video games. Now, to be brutally honest, I really don't think this is as terrible as a lot of people have made it out to be, but it's still difficult to sit through, so let's do this together. The documentary opens with reporter Raphael Rowe attending the London launch event for StarCraft 2.
I'm at a premiere of a major blockbuster opening in London.
Well, we are seconds in, and already I've found something. Pay attention to the soundtrack here. This is one thing we're going to be seeing a lot of, the programme using presentational techniques like this to impose a view on audiences. Try to ignore the music for a second and focus on the visual aspects. Imagine what you'd actually be hearing and seeing if you were at the launch event yourself. Notice anything? The smiling faces? Everyone's happy, but that's just not fit for purpose. They're trying to connote negative things about video games, so they have to have this condemning music playing in the background. Also, the reporter tries to imply things through his choice of words and obviously premeditated attitude towards the event. He's acting totally bewildered, as if these people have gathered to sacrifice small animals or something. Panorama does this type of thing all the time. The reason for it being is to make the subject, in this case gaming culture, seem weird. After all, people tend to fear what they don't properly understand. Take the opening line, for example.
But the stars here are not Hollywood actors. They're virtual characters in a computer game.
How horrifically undermining does that sound? He's basically saying, "Oh, it's not real, you weirdos. It's in a game. Look at how weird they are."
This queue has gone back from Oxford Street right round the corner to the end of this road.
We're doomed!
In the past 5 years, computer gaming has exploded in popularity.
I love playing video games.
I play games every day. I've been waiting for this game for a very long time.
We spend more than $3 billion a year on gaming, more than we spend on film or music. And gaming has shed its nerdy image to become an essential part of youth culture. As a parent, I often wonder what effect it will have on my children. It's an immersive, interactive, cinematic experience, but is it too much for some people to handle?
Right, so the StarCraft 2 launch was of no relevance whatsoever to the programme, and it was just to give Rise something to look at, basically. There isn't a war on in Nottingham.
In Nottingham, Joe Staley has enjoyed computer games since he was a small child.
Oh.
But then he bought an Xbox.
Ha. Alright, so the documentary moves focus to some guy called Joe Staley. Basically, Joe uses gaming as a scapegoat, something to blame for all his problems, because at this point he's a lazy idiot who neglected his studies and social life so he could play on his 360 all day, which resulted in him being expelled from his university. Instead of learning from his mistakes and, taking a bit of responsibility for once, he just keeps blaming the games.
Started with Grand Theft Auto 4. Moved on to, I think it was Call of Duty 4, which was the new one at the time.
Call of Duty is the best-selling game in Britain.
Actually, Call of Duty was released in 2003 and is not the best-selling game in Britain. Sadly, that title goes to the much less deserved Modern Warfare 2. It doesn't take a genius to use Google,
Why? Why do you think you are addicted to this game, and what do you mean by addicted?
I couldn't physically pull myself away from the console. I could go 2 or 3 days without sleep just because I was playing a game, and that, to me, sounds like an addiction.
Well, Joe, you're wrong, because that is not what characterises an addiction. The fact of the matter is, it's a concept that's simply not accepted by mainstream science. Every so often someone might come along claiming to have proof of it, but it always falls through. And what he's saying about the games stopping him from going to sleep is false. The only influence it has on him is that it heightens brain activity, which could potentially combat tiredness. All you have to do is stop playing and that brain activity will return to normal. Furthermore, this isn't some telepathic influence the game has on the player. It's the same with just about anything a human enjoys. Watching Die Hard, jogging, and my personal favourite, having sex. Die Hard. Joe can stop playing anytime he wants. It's all about self-control. Don't just sit there and go, "Oh, the games!" Get a grip. After that, shall we say, ordeal, the team then pays a visit to another supposed addict, this time a guy in London, whose life revolves around playing World of Warcraft.
Easy. It started off being addictive because there were a lot of stuff I wanted to do at the maximum level, so I would spend as many hours as I could till I finally got to level 70.
With more than 12 million players globally, World of Warcraft is one of the most successful computer games ever made. Players can explore its mythical world for a monthly fee.
You substitute the real world for this world. I mean, 2 years I've been playing 12 hours of the day online for 2 years, if you want to look at it that way. It was fun while you're playing, but then when you think about the derogatory effect it's having in your life, then and obviously you don't feel so good.
His university work is suffering. He's lost contact with his friends and damaged his relationship with his family.
I would never inflict this game on anyone. This game is just a disease. It's just horrible. It's very hard to explain properly. It's one of those things you really have to experience.
Oh, so one of the reporters are going to try it out?
He's now decided to go cold turkey and stop playing the game.
Oh, how exciting. Next.
Oh man. This is really...
Not much of an improvement, is it?
This is Pong, the first commercially successful home video game.
7-0.
Games have come a long way since the 70s. The National Media Museum in Bradford is a good place to come if you want to see how far.
Actually, you know what? I'm just going to start skimming through this. Half of it is tangential nonsense that's just stuck in there because it's loosely related to the topic. I mean, imagine if in my GoldenEye Wii review, for example, I'd spent the first 2 minutes of the video talking about a completely different game. That'd make me a bit of a tit, wouldn't it? Anyway, this thing.
Stories of computer game addiction are nothing new. But it isn't recognised as a medical condition, and some argue it's a product of media hysteria.
Oh, hi, Mark. Okay, everyone, brace yourselves. This is one of the few good moments of the documentary. They actually show the foresight of the argument. Unfortunately, it lasts about as long as 3 Frog Brothers cartoons does in bed. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Wait, how did these people even get into my house?
In the early 1900s, we were worried about the waltz. In the 1950s, we were worried about the demonising of society by rock and roll. Now it's games.
Logic in a Panorama documentary? What?
Ian Livingstone's company makes the Lara Croft Tomb Raider series.
Laura, not Laura, you plank.
You could say people get addicted to football, get addicted to the internet. They used to say that people were addicted to television.
There are people out there who do say that they've become addicted to games.
They might have addictive personalities. They might be addicted, inverted commas, to some of the other entertainment experiences. But there's no formal published medical evidence saying that games are addictive anywhere in the world.
Thank you, God, someone finally said it.
He's right to a point, but there are growing calls from some in the international scientific community to have gaming addiction formally recognised.
The
The World Health Organization has described addiction to some games as a serious threat to the mental health of young Europeans. But the industry body Yuki says research shows games boost intelligence, reduce stress and are valuable learning tools. Something passive media like TV would do well to emulate.
Playing video games and participating in interactive entertainment is a much more beneficial activity than participating in a passive medium. And actually there are many positive things that can derive from that.
And that's just about it. That was a brief look into my side of the argument, the one that opposes the anti-video game movement, the one that's backed up with actual facts, not just random theoretics with no real substance, you might notice. You might also notice they didn't dwell on that side of the story, because doing so would highlight to the audience how unnecessary this documentary really is, seeing as all the facts are on the pro-video game side, and there's nothing really to be worried about. So instead it switches back to showing us more rubbish, suggesting avoidance. There go the scary tunes again. Alright, so the team now pays a visit to a family in Stoke-on-Trent. The son of the family, Chris, is another one of these supposed addicts.
Initially we didn't connect it to the computer game playing at the start because it was just something that every boy did, and particularly a lot of the boys that we knew and friends of ours. Yeah, we had the internet, yeah, both the children had computers in their bedroom, but there was nothing that particularly alarmed us.
Chris had been playing World of Warcraft through the night.
It brought you into another world, like you could be what you wanted to be. You were a warrior, you were a shaman, you were a mage. You could have the best weapon. It was like, you know, I've got to stay at home, I've got to do this.
He was playing for up to 20 hours a day.
Right, so just to clarify, he was playing up to 20 hours a day and she didn't notice. Oh, how attentive.
I remember there was one point where I think our actual internet just went down. And I started sweating and I actually started shaking just because I couldn't play it.
Once I understood that this game was online, I was saying, right, okay, well the answer to it is we cut off the internet. That's it.
What a great idea. Instead of just disallowing him to access the game, you know, stepping in and doing some parenting, let's just cut off the family's internet access altogether. Genius.
And the response was just an outpouring of violence. He just went berserk.
Oh, just like in the game! Ha 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 ha!
I put on a boot and I kicked a hole in my sister's door. I just smashed anything I could see.
It was really scary.
It got to the point where, you know, my dad...
Oh my god, really? Stop showing that clip.
That was the point where we started to really understand, from a parental point of view, gosh, this is dangerous, this is a dangerous tool in our house.
Okay, stop right there, let's back it up. It's as simple as this. If he really has that in him, then he could experience the same level of anger from just about anything being taken away from him that he's attached to. It's the same with just about anyone, we're humans. Imagine if you were in the middle of a really good book or a film and I took it away from you. If you were angered, would it be because you were addicted to the book or addicted to the film or because they've influenced you to become angry? No, it's because it was your source of entertainment, your happiness, and I've taken it away. She really just doesn't have a clue, does she?
One of Britain's leading child psychiatrists says he's treating a growing number of cases like Chris.
Well, yeah, because of programs like this promoting it as a parental scapegoat.
I do think this is something that needs national recognition.
Actually, do you want to know the reason why it hasn't received national recognition? Because there's nothing there. Whenever mainstream science looks into this, they find nothing. It's been examined time and time again, but to this day nothing has legitimately shown proof for the case of video game addiction. This is fact. It's completely empty as of now.
66% of 5 to 16-year-olds have their own console. Could this be a hidden problem building up in homes across the country?
Have you ever stopped and thought, what problem? It's not like we're suddenly going to spontaneously combust.
I went to meet a world authority on the psychological impact of computer games.
The good news is that for the vast majority of people, video games is something that's very positive in their life. But we have to take on board that there is a growing literature that suggests for a small but significant minority, things like gaming can be potentially problematic. My research has consistently shown people seem to display the signs and symptoms that you get with other more traditional addictions.
Notice how they don't actually go into his supposed research. That was just words.
People put money into alcohol and tobacco addiction, maybe even into gambling addiction, but in gaming addiction it's kind of so new, people don't see it as an important research area to look into.
Once again, there's been tons of research into this, and video games aren't new.
The little research that has been done suggests it's online games that cause the most concern. In the UK, we still play mostly console games, but that's changing.
You know, I'd love to see a source for that.
Within 5 years, the government wants all of us to have broadband internet access.
You can play console games online, you know. And what's up with this? This is the type of graphic you'd expect to display the spread of a flesh-eating virus or something, not the rise of broadband. That's a good thing.
One inspiration for this plan is South Korea, the country with the world's most developed internet network. 85% here have fast broadband, and more than half play online games. But the government says it's created addicts.
Okay, so as the documentary reaches crippling levels of boring, the crew arrives in Korea to further scrape the barrel for evidence of video game addiction. Except, they never actually do that. Instead, in a rather sensationalist move, they just sort of talk about how the Korean government believes video game addiction is reality, and how gaming is at the heart of their culture. There's a reason for this. As Ian Livingston pointed out earlier, there isn't actually any published medical evidence anywhere in the world. This is just how the Korean government is, shall we say, inclined. What's worse is how they focus on one, I suppose you could say, horror story, instead of, including facts and stats.
This is a boot camp for Korean youngsters addicted to gaming. Sang-uk's been brought here by his mum. Why did you send him to the camp?
He was too engrossed in the games. He would sometimes spend 10 hours playing them.
Eun-suk says gaming has taken over Sang's life. He's stolen from her to play at internet cafes, and his education's suffering.
He would even fall asleep in school.
What was so important about the game that nothing else mattered?
It's just fun, and I can't find anything else to do.
From this first glance, most of you will be finding it hard to see how this boy's behaviour is in any way defensible. Well, I won't spoil it, but stay tuned. There happens to be two sides to this one.
High-speed internet has added an intoxicating dimension to gaming, allowing people to play with and against each other online. It's Saturday evening, and instead of going out for a drink or going to a nightclub, young Koreans come to PC bangs to play games.
Well, at least it's not like Britain, where the opposite is true and binge drinking is made out to be such a problem.
They've helped turn gaming into a national sport. There's a professional league, and the best gamers are celebrities. But people have played themselves to death.
Hi there. Liam appears to have fallen asleep, so I'm just gonna step in. I'm Ellen, aka Ickle Melly Rose. The link is in the box below. Come and have a look at my channel, subscribe. If you like me, I recommend it, because if you don't, I'll cancel your World of Warcraft subscription. And we don't want that happening now, do we? Anyway, picking up from where Liam left off, the programme then goes on to talk about how there have been 12 deaths related to addiction to gaming in Korea since 2005. 12 deaths in 5 years is not bad, considering that in 2008 alone there were 11 deaths due to accidental smothering in bed. I don't see the BBC doing a special panorama on the dangers of duvets. Ooh. It then goes on to the extremely sad case of the couple neglecting their child so much so that it died of malnutrition.
And this March, another death made headlines around the world. A couple were arrested after their babies starved to death while they played a computer game.
One of the saddest things is that the couple lived in this basement flat just here, and 10 feet away over there is the PC bang they spent so much of their time.
The programme itself actually explains that they had several underlying problems which may have caused their addiction to this game.
The mother was sent here for psychological assessment at UG University's Department of Addiction. The couple had low IQs and both were depressed.
Then go back to the young Korean boy at the camp and explain that kids around his age are most susceptible to being addicted because they have a lot of problems. Young teenage boy, all the hormones going round, you don't know who to talk to, you're trying to work out who you are, yeah, or your mum could just be smacking you around at home. The mother clearly says that she used to smack him and she feels really sorry for that, and you can see the remorse when she's saying it.
I used to hit him a lot. But you need to talk and communicate a lot to understand the child. I regret not having done that in the past.
However, the BBC kind of just brush over it. That she says it and then the presenter makes no comment on it whatsoever. It's just confusing. Then you get a clip of the young boy saying that he's definitely going to play outside more. I would too if I was standing on a really sunny beach. Then the programme goes back to Britain and we're immediately told about a woman neglecting her children and pets so much that they're taken away from her and the dog dies. Yay. But we're not told whether she has any underlying problems, whether she was a neglectful mother anyway, or anything. Was she actually addicted? We don't know. We just have a big tabloid shoved in our face saying that because of this game, her dog's dead. Then they talk to some gamers who do admit that there are gamers who play too much.
Gamers here at Britain's biggest online games festival were aware of the dangers.
Everyone can have a laugh and say that you can't get addicted to game, but it's obvious that some people do.
Several people on my friends list online have racked up maybe 150 hours a week.
The most sensible comment was that it's because of people not having an interaction with the real world and therefore getting more sucked into the game. That's very true. I think that it's just a case of being sucked into the game rather than becoming addicted to it. We then go back to the World of Warcraft guy. The guy explains that he didn't succeed in going cold turkey because he was bored, and the presenter seems surprised at this. Like, has this guy never experienced boredom before? That's what games are for, is to stop boredom when you've not got things to do. Also, they interview him while he's playing the game, and the presenter gets really annoyed at the fact that he's not concentrating on the interview. Of course he's going to be distracted. He's in the middle of playing a game. What would you prefer to do? Fight monsters in a magical land or talk to some condescending journalist? Also, this confuses me because this is supposed to be about addiction. You wouldn't interview an alcoholic while they're downing a bottle of gin. Just come on. They then go on to talk about game mechanics and how rewarding you for playing means that you keep playing. Well, yeah, this is quite obvious to me, because if you don't reward the play and want the person to keep playing your game, then they won't buy your game. They'll get rid of it and buy another developer's game. Developers put them in because they need to keep their jobs, not because they're evil and trying to make you addicts. Then there are calls on the industry to warn that some people could become addicted to games. Now, all these warnings come from people sat in front of textbooks and all the people from the gaming industry that say, okay, we don't want to scaremonger people, so we're not going to say, oh my gosh, they cause addiction, ah! All of that lot are shoved in front of their gaming devices that they work for. So this is why in my video I've not only got my Xbox, but I've also got some university textbooks, so that I can look as studious as well and trustworthy. Then go to my favourite guy in the whole programme, which is the long-haired dude who got kicked out of uni. His advice is just perfect for me. Don't play your game. Instead, go out with your mates and get absolutely smashed.
My advice for people who have been in my situation: put the controller down, take a deep breath, go ring a friend. Go ring a friend and go out and get smashed.
So, liver disease is better than a slightly rubbish social life? Really? Also, if it's because these people have addictive personalities, why would you want to go and do something else that you could also get addicted to? I just can't wait for the Panorama special on alcohol addiction in 20 years' time, and that same guy is going, why did I give up my Xbox? He then says about how he now only plays when he's finished everything he needs to do for the day. You didn't do that before? That's what you should do. Gaming is something that was invented to use up your spare time. Spare time, meaning the time that you don't need to do important things. Then the programme goes back to the specky kid who likes World of Warcraft, who in my opinion is the most sensible person on this programme, as he doesn't blame the game developers for his addiction. He realises that it's their job to create a good game, and they have done that, and it's just a small minority that play it too much, and that it's not a massive danger and people just have to be sensible with it. There then comes a statement from Blizzard reiterating the fact that you should put other things in your life above playing the game, i.e. important things, eating, sleeping, etc. And that they also have things in place to make sure you can monitor your time and don't play too much. After all, their game is on a subscription where it actually means that they make more money if you play it less. No matter how much or how little you play, they still get their $7.99 each month. This is something that the programme fails to point out. Then the programme comes to an end with the presenter at a game expo, and he comes out with a fairly sensible statement. I don't want my son to stop gaming, but I'm going to keep an extra close eye on him to make sure he games safely. You're supposed to do that. You're his dad. You're supposed to make sure he does everything safely, and that includes gaming. Anyway, the whole programme is then wrapped up nicely by a sensible statement from Jerry Mutine, saying that just because your kid goes mad if you take away their games console doesn't mean they're addicted. This kind of redeems the programme slightly, because instead of saying kill all the consoles and chuck them out of your homes, they are dangerous, they just say just look for advice on how to game safely, which is really what they should have made the whole programme about in the first place. An instructional video on how to game safely instead of scaremongering. Okay, so I'm gonna hand you back to Liam. That's if he's... Oh wait, Liam? Liam, look, I know you got a load of coal dust in your ears from all the mining up north, but get up. Right, I've had enough. See you.
Somebody calling my... she's gone. Fuck. So what more needs to be said, really? It's a pretty poor effort on the BBC's part, and while it's not as terrible as some of the other stuff I've shown you, it's still a frustrating watch for just about anyone. It comes to a logical conclusion, though in my eyes, that doesn't redeem it. It doesn't justify it leaning so heavily towards the anti-video game side and using inexcusable, blatant scare tactics. We could go on all day about how it's bursting at the seams of bullshit, and we kind of already have, but most of all, why did this need to be made? Was it really an issue causing widespread concern? I don't think so. Honestly, I think this was nothing more than a shoddy attempt to help the show transition away from ruining our World Cup bid, and they've tried to make it feel like it's on a similar scale as that issue, to gauge audiences, but have ended up making it feel tremendously dramatised in the process. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching what is in fact my 100th video. My public YouTube video count mightn't be indicative of that number, but trust me, it's right. If you're a subscriber, I thank you for everything, and if not, I'll go suck a dick.